Hello everyone, welcome back to Newsroom. I am Chella Smith. This is your Middle East to U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review and it's based off my interests. Thank you everyone for joining me. Last week we talked about the French deals regarding oil and gas, the CBI and TBI's newly appointed governor, the Dry Canal projects, the Secretary of State, and the U.S. Ambassador's delegations. Let's take a look at this week's headlines. Twilight News reports the Amman Chamber of Commerce and the Iraqi Business Council in Amman signed a memorandum of understanding to enhance the concept of partnership to facilitate and develop the process of cooperation between them in the economic fields in general, commercial and services in particular. The memorandum signed by the president of the chamber and the chair of council stipulated the cooperation of the two parties in the fields of exchanging information and data issued by them on a regular basis, especially those related in the economic fields, and facilitating intra-trade and disseminating them to the business community and economists. The chamber said in a statement today that under the memorandum of understanding, they will coordinate with each other to organize conferences, seminars, and workshops on the topic of common interest addressed to both sides and the business communities in general, in order to spread awareness in addition to exchanging invitations to events held by each side. According to the memorandum, the availability, consultancies, and expertise will be provided to investors, business owners, exporters, and importers in both countries, as well as promoting partnership and investment opportunity for the respective business community. The memorandum stipulates the provisions of conditions for active participation of business owners, projects in various bodies, and internal and national exhibitions and other arrangements held in Jordan and Iraq, according to the official Jordanian news agency Petra. It also stipulates the information of joint committees to consider the affairs of issuing of each of the chamber members and the council, including investors and business owners, and followed up with the competent authorities in both countries. It is worth mentioning that the Iraqi Business Council in Amman was established in 2006, and it's a forum of businessmen to exchange views, ideas, and business information, providing job opportunities through the commercial and social mission, and introduce existing investment opportunities in Jordan and Iraq. Baghdad Magazine News reports a second meeting between the Iraqi delegation and the U.S. Federal Bank on the dollar began a while ago. A meeting held in Turkey will complement yesterday's meeting. A source familiar with the matter told Magazine News that a member of the Parliamentary Finance Committee, Mustafa Jabbar Sanad, reveals at dawn today the details of the meeting between the Iraqi delegation and the U.S. Federal Bank held in Turkey. A meeting was held in Turkey between the Iraqi delegations and the delegations representing the U.S. Federal Reserves to discuss the situation of the dollar. Sanad said in a post on his Telegram channel, adding that the meeting is over and a number of things have been agreed upon, and the meeting will be renewed tomorrow in Turkey as well, and then the expanded meeting in Washington on the 8th. Baghdad Magazine News reports Hisham al-Rakabi, the media advisor to Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, confirms today that Iraqi's economy will not be determined by the brokers of shops and street speculators. Al-Rakabi says in a tweet, the government battles against speculators and hard currency traders enjoy internal and external political support, and its solution is closed, and the process of controlling commercial transactions according to the global context continues. He adds, Iraq's economy will not be determined by brokers of shops and street speculators, but only by the state. Salamia NRT Digital Media reports the Prime Minister of Iraq, Mohammed Shia Sudani, issues a number of instructions for solving money smuggling and to arrest those who manipulate with the price of the dollar. The spokesman for the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Major General Yahya Rasool, says an Iraqi Prime Minister has met with the senior security officials and issues strict instructions. Rasool said that Sudani has ordered the arrest of money smugglers and the monitor border crossings and checkpoints to prevent smuggling. He says Sudani insisted that the banking and exchange work should be carried out in a way that guarantees the freedom of trade in accordance with legal banking grounds. The Central Bank of Iraq in Washington is scheduled to meet with the U.S. federal bank officials on February 7th to discuss the issues of Iraqi Dinar drops in exchange of dollars. The dollar to dinar exchange rose dramatically in the recent weeks amid restrictions that the U.S. has imposed on sending dollars to Iran, including a more firm control over Iraqi banks. On Thursday, money exchange offices were closed at 100 to 172,500 Iraqi dinars. Members of the Parliamentary Finance Committee, Moeen Al-Kazimi, says that the 2023 budget between the Ministers of Finance and Planning, both operational and investment, was supposed to be completed, and after it was transferred to the Council of Ministry in paper form, it was studied and discussed in multiple submissions, and there were recommendations to reduce pressure on some expenses. The budget reached 149 trillion dinars, while the budget is planned at 200 trillion dinars. The number of Iraqi employees will reach 4 million due to the increase in appointments in the budget for 2023. The budget is supposed to reach the House of Representatives this week and is ready to receive it from a formation of the Parliamentary Finance Committee. They say they hope to complete the study of the budget and the first and second reading and have it approved during the month of February, and the government will start implementing it in March. The price of the oil primal was calculated in the budget for 2023 at $65, which is a reassuring figure that can be implemented during this year, taking into account the conditions of the global markets. What is issued by Iraq is 3.5 million barrels per day, and the dollar rate was fixed at 1450 dinars. On the basis, the receipt is calculated at 129 trillion dinars in addition to taxes, and to collect those amounts would be 149 trillion dinars, but the difference between the plan and the preparedness by the government is large. They say they reach 50 trillion dinars, and the deficit must be filled with clear loans. Baghdad Magazine News reports the World Bank expressed its readiness to work with the Iraqi government to implement investments in reform projects that require significant financial resources. Salim Rouhana, the bank's head of sustainability development programs, said in an interview with the official newspaper Al Saba and followed by Magazine News that there is more than one way to implement the Climate and Development Report, noting that the report prioritizes reforms, starting with the reforms that are very necessary in order to be able to implement projects with the need for a capacity to complete them. He added the second way is financing, part of which is public and the other part is private, because the bank is interested in the sectors to create political and financial infrastructure in order to stimulate the going to project in energy, specifically alternative and renewable. He continued, the third way is the reform process to shift from real-time and near-term to medium and long-term view that requires some security and political stability, and the creation of the departments that can complete work on these projects and implement the outlook and orientation, even in the framework of change of governments and policy. And this is more important as there must be some kind of continuity in governance governance to implement medium and long-term projects. He points out that the World Bank will have a technical and intellectual support role, and it's prepared for the government's request to support investment and reform projects with more tools that can work with, which require great financial resources and great in environment for the private sector and investments, and a lot of modern knowledge, technologies, and ideas through which the World Bank can attract the expertise that implement these projects. Baghdad Magazine News reports the financial advisor to Prime Minister Mauser Mohammed Shalay confirms on Tuesday Iraq's effort to obtain full membership in the International Financial Auction Organization. Shalay says the First Amendment to the law of Iraq's Asset Recovery Fund number 7 of 2019 added an explicit text contained in the provisions of Article 14 thereof, which refers to the obligation of government when concluding investments of economic agreements with any country that has funds for Iraq covered by the provisions of law to conclude agreements with those countries to recover funds. According to the official news agency, he added that what the Prime Minister signed on his recent visit to France regarding money laundering crimes is based off text of Article 14 of law, noting that Iraq seeks full membership in the International Financial Auction Organization based in Paris and belongs to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is concerned with international cooperations to combat money laundering activities, crime funds, and terrorism. He continues, Iraq has been an active member since 2004 in the International Financial Auction Organization for the Middle East and North Africa through the active role of Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorism Fund Office is in the Central Bank of Iraq, which operates in accordance with Law Number 39 of 2015 and provides legal coverage to international corporations in order to preserve the funds of the Republic of Iraq. And you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith, your Middle East U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics Iraq. I bring you the latest in our news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, give me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always leave me a super thanks. Again, thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted Dinar News. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Take care.